Veronica Mosha, your host and elopement expert. Today, I am really excited because I have a very special guest with me today. He is a superstar. He's a wedding officiant, one of the very few true professionals here in the city. And I can't wait to share with him this space and bring you answers to so many questions that you may have. Welcome, Peter Boruchowitz. How are you? I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very pleased to be here.
You are my first guest, and you're very special to me. As I was saying before, you are an inspiration, and you're my idol. You're a superstar. You are a true professional, one of the very few true professional wedding officiants in New York City. And I think you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. How long?
11 years, so I'm not sure.
11 years. Oh, okay. Do you do this full time?
Full time. This is my only job. Full time professional officiant. Yeah.
So how did it start for you?
It was kind of a long and winding road that brought me here. Actually, I moved to New York to be an actor. I went to acting school. I graduated from NYU theater program. I kind of did the whole struggling actor thing for about 18 years. And I had some minor success. You know, I worked at my craft. Mostly the last few years that I had worked, I worked in film and television, small parts, extra work. I tended to play bikers and thugs, tough guys, the total opposite of what I really am, but I come across that way sometimes. And that got really rough, as you well know. And as I got older, not knowing where the next job was coming from, it was rough. So I actually went to massage school. I became a licensed massage therapist for about 15 years. And then when the economy crashed back in 2007, 2008, and around there, I lost a lot of all my accounts. I did corporate work. So I lost all my corporate work and I had no income, and I just moved to this new apartment, and it was like, oh, what am I going to do? And a friend of mine who actually was in Cleveland, Ohio at the time, was an officiant, and he was swamped with work, because as you know, even in bad times, people get married no matter what, whether it's financial, no matter what, people need to get married. And he had more work than he could handle, and he suggested that I move there for a few months and help him. He really needed help. And with my theatrical background, he thought that, it'd be good. And I basically started out writing ceremonies for him and doing his web stuff. And then one day he needed someone to actually do a ceremony. And Veronica, the moment I did it, it clicked for me. Everything from my theatrical background, from performing, writing, directing, even stage management, it all came together. And I realized that this is what I should be doing. This is what, and it was such a charge for me. And I was good at it right away. So it seemed natural. And I moved back here to the city after a few months away. And of course, as you know, it takes quite a while to break into the New York scene. Mm-hmm. The wedding industry here is quite competitive, as I'm sure we'll discuss in a bit, with lots of so-called officiants running around there. So it took a while, but once I kind of broke through that ceiling, it just all worked for me, and I've been working full time ever since. So.
Yes. Wow, I had no idea you have a very similar history to mine. And this is why you're so good, and this is why I'm drawn to you. No, but
it could well be. Yeah.
It makes sense. For me, it was the same thing. I came from Argentina, trying to be an actor, I was taking classes to be on Broadway. And then, not much was happening. I was working, management jobs, health and racket club. I had different jobs. You always get those jobs with flexibility, so you can go to.
Exactly. Yeah, I was manager at an answering service for many years because I could
Ah,
make my own hours.
yep,
So
yep. And then yes, same thing. I didn't even know this was a thing. I learned it during my first. I got married to my first husband, and we needed an officiant. I was like, what? I researched. I said, oh, I can do this. And that's, yeah.
and
And
here we are.
here we are. Yes. So the reason why I invite you, like I said, number one is because you are the real deal. And I've had a lot of experiences this past 2 years with the pandemic. As you know, the city clerk shut down and people couldn't do weddings there. So we got to see all the many couples that typically would go to City Hall to get married.
Exactly.
And now they had to come to us because they were closed. So I gain a new perspective on what's happening, and I want to help people make the right decision, right? Obviously, going to City Hall is always an option. It still is today because they open back up. You need to get an appointment to go now, and you can only bring one person. So it's still pretty lame, but you can still do it and pay $35.
Right.
I always frown on the city clerk's wedding, always from day one. I don't understand it. I don't understand why anybody would choose to go there as opposed to having someone like you officiate their weddings.
Yeah.
And I think it has to be about money.
Yeah, often it's about money. A lot of times, I think, Veronica, as you mentioned before, people are unaware of what their options are.
Exactly.
And someone has said, "Oh, well, you go to the city clerk's office, and you'll take care of it there." I've actually had quite a few couples come to me after being at the city clerk to get their license, who were planning on getting married at the city clerk's office. And that when they were there and saw what was really involved in that, it's like going to a deli. You take your number and you wait for them to call your number, and then you go up to a window, and it's just it's so impersonal. Mm-hmm. And people often freak out when they see that. And so they call me and they say, we were going to get married at the city clerk's office, and we just got our license there, and I never want to go back there again. So yes. I think a lot of times people are not aware that there are other options. They think, well, if I don't belong to a church, then I have no option except to go to the
right. And then another misconception is that if they come to someone like you or me, it's not the same. It's not, but it is.
Legally.
It's just as legal.
Legally.
It's exactly the same. The guy marrying you at the city clerk's office has exactly the same license. It's a license number that they give us. Everybody has the same, whether it's me or as long as it's registered with the city clerk and we have a valid license, it's the same.
Exactly. But many people are not aware of that. And they think
there's a difference. Then when they go to immigration, they will see where they got married. It doesn't matter. Right. You got your certificate, the certificate of marriage.
Certificate of marriage. That's what's your proof that you were legally married in New York. And for people who only need that, the city clerk is fine for that. It's like I had a lot of couples during pandemic, especially, who have been together or married for decades in possibly another country or whatever. And then when they come to New York and they realize that they're not legally recognized, their marriage is not legally recognized by New York, then they have to, make it legal here. And for those people, the city clerk is fine if they want to go through that. But as you said, why, if you can have a personal experience, no matter how simple, no matter how quick, it's just a lot nicer, I think, to be with an officiant and one or two family members rather than doing it with complete strangers and impersonal under fluorescent lights at the city.
Yes, going through the metal detector, taking a number, you still have to do all those things, even now with the pandemic. It's not, it's the worst. I think it's the worst.
It's not the most romantic venue.
No, it's not romantic at all. So yeah, so either I figure it's either they don't know or they don't want to spend the money. To continue with some of the advice that I want to give our couples out there. So let's say if you decided to have a proper ceremony with a wedding officiant and not go to City Hall. So an officiant typically will go to your home. You don't need to have a big wedding. You don't need to have a reception hall, right? You can do it in the park.
Right. I do a lot of Central Park weddings. And again, a lot of times this is stuff that people do not know. It's that they didn't know that they could get married in Central Park. They didn't know they could get married in their living room. It opens a whole new world when people, sometimes they're so surprised. They come to me and said, you can come to my apartment and we can get married here. I was like,
yes,
absolutely.
Right.
Again, people think it's either a church or a courthouse, and that's it. Right. And when they realize that they can get married anywhere, on a boat, it opens a whole new world for people, and it's really thrilling to be with them when they realize that, and they begin to talk to you about ideas. Where can we do it, and what can we do? And it's
absolutely. It is great. It is. I'm sure. Of course, you feel very rewarded for the job that life put in front of you. It is very rewarding when you have, happy couples, nice couples, like the real couples.
You're always with someone on one of the happiest days of their lives, and usually everybody's on their best behavior. Not always.
Oh, I know.
But usually people, are very reverent, and afterwards when they cut loose at the reception or a party or the bar or whatever, then all bets are off. But usually during the ceremony, people are pretty well behaved, and it's a good working condition to be.
Yes, it's nice. So yeah, they can get married even at a restaurant, very casual. I did one time. I did a wedding. They were having breakfast. And we were just sitting at the table. It was the couple and the parents, and that's it. And they didn't even want to stand up or do.
Right. Yeah, I've had the same situation where you just do it across the table. Yeah. Yes. But invariably, there are people next door who are listening,
Yes. But that's the beauty of it. And yes, and the parks are open to everybody, and you don't need a permit. We always say you don't need a permit, and that's another subject, but it's important to have a permit for certain spots.
For certain areas. If you're getting married in Central Park, there are certain areas which are really perfect for wedding ceremonies, Ladies Pavilion, Wagner Cove, the smaller locations. And not that you necessarily need a permit if you have, the rule is under 20 people, but a permit allows you to ask other people to leave. So if you want to have a private ceremony at the Ladies Pavilion, if you have a permit, that's yours from 11 to 2 or whatever that is.
The worst part is that if you don't have a permit and you go and someone else will have a permit and they're there before,
right, then you're out of luck. Right.
Or they'll just come in and they'll kick you out in the middle of your ceremony. I'm sorry, I have a permit. You need to go because I paid everybody by the hour, right? The photographer's with me. We can't sit around and wait.
Exactly. So in that regard, permits are important. But if you're just walking into the park with one or two people and you're just looking for a nice place and strawberry fields under a tree or something, you don't need a permit for that.
Exactly. So if you're not picky with the location, it's fine.
Exactly.
So I was curious, how do you set your prices? Because your prices are very competitive and very reasonable. Very reasonable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of factors that help me decide on pricing, but basically, like you, there's a very simple ceremony. I call it the elopement ceremony, which you're talking about, very short, maybe slight personalization, but certainly not customized. And that is, a certain price. And then once we move beyond that, I know a lot of officiants who charge, okay, if we're going to do a unity ritual, They charge for prayers, and if you want a prayer, it's like, picking a list off of a restaurant menu. I don't like to work that way. I like to say, there's either the basic ceremony or there's a custom ceremony that I'm writing for you. And that is pretty much the same price, whether it's a small ceremony with a handful of people or a huge ceremony in a big hall. Because that way, the people who are having a smaller wedding know that they're getting my full attention, my full experience, everything that I can bring to a wedding that I would bring to the big wedding that you're doing at the huge hall. But on the other side too, that the couple with the huge hall that's marrying me know that I'm not trying to soap them because I know that they have a higher budget.
That's why I love you. I love that you brought that up. I do the same thing. Isn't that funny? I was going to ask you, because I know a lot of officiants charge depending on the number of guests, which is something that I never understood that. That always,
like we don't charge by the head. It's like,
I'm scratching my head. I'm like, what does that have to do with my work, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think you can.
And also, Veronica, I'll tell you the other thing that kind of makes me nuts that way is when I quote to a couple and they were like, but it's only going to be a 20-minute ceremony. It's like, I have to,
I know.
I have to get there, I have to dress, I have to prepare your ceremony. And once I'm there, whether it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, that doesn't matter. And certainly the amount of people there doesn't matter. You're getting the same attention, my same service that anybody else would get. So I don't understand charging by the head. I certainly don't understand charging, by, it's at an expensive, we're doing it at the plaza, therefore I can add, a couple $100 onto the thing. I just think that that's the kind of thing that catches up with you, and you just need to be honest and upright with everybody. The only major fluctuation to my pricing is, of course, travel fees. If I'm in Manhattan, there's no travel fee. If I have to go to Long Island and I'm going to be on the Long Island Railroad for 2.5 hours each direction, that's another story. So, that it's really travel fees that can affect my price more than anything at this point.
Peter, you're fabulous. You're great. Everybody should, we're going to have your website here. So yes. And I encourage people to check you out and call you, because you are a decent guy and everything you say is right on. It makes perfect sense. And you are the type of person that they should be hiring 100%. And I agree with you. I do the same thing. It's up to me, right? Like, do I want to exactly the same? And I have the same anecdotes. They tell you, but first of all, it's not 20 minutes, probably 15 minutes ceremony or 10, depending on what they buy, right? If it's my regular ceremony, I don't even read a script anymore. It's just I know it, by heart. Just improvise. Yeah, blah 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 blah. And if I get inspired, like you said, I'll say something pertaining to the couple, right? Whatever I see in the moment, because we are actors. We're spontaneous. You're an improviser. You can improvise. It's going to be always a fabulous ceremony, no matter what. But sometimes it lasts 11 minutes. It depends, right? They think it's half an hour. It's 20 minutes. Again, it depends. It's all, it depends on whether they have their own vows and they're going to go and say their vows or not.
And unity rituals and
Right. But the same thing. So I charge based on how much of my time it takes. And the same thing, like, it's funny because I just got another, again, I had a call the other day, and I'm bad. I get cranky sometimes and then I don't answer anymore, which is so wrong for business. So this guy, I just hate it when people go, they just go just tell me like it is. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you want up front. What are you trying to do? Long story short. So he's asking for a quote to do a wedding in Central Park. All right. Well, all my prices are on my website, by the way. You have it.
Mine too, yeah.
Right, black and white is there. You don't need to ask me how much is it. But everybody thinks that, just like you said, oh, it's just the two of us, or it's just five of us, or it's just, what does it matter? So now he calls, he says they already have their ceremony in City Hall, but they already booked it, but they can only bring one person, and they want to have like a symbolic ceremony in the park with their family and friends.
Okay.
That's fine. So it sounded like he's trying to get a discount because we're not signing the legal
Signing the
paper.
license, right? Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it makes no difference. I still had to get dressed. I had to put on a suit or a dress and get on the subway or an Uber and then go and meet you there and wait for you and do the ceremony the same way I do. The 30 seconds that it would take me to sign a license it's no difference. I charge the same money if it was a vow renewal with no papers.
Exactly.
It is my work. It is my getting dressed.
It's the service that we provide as professional officiants that you're paying. And this is why I do encourage people to hire a professional no matter what, because if you're looking to cut corners, because let's face it, weddings can be very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not having a full-scale gala at the plaza, flowers and catering. I mean, weddings are not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But the place to cut corners is not on the officiant. No. To say, oh, well, I'll save a couple $100 if I have Aunt Betty do it. That's not the place to cut corners. A perfect example, I had a couple, they did not have a lot of money. They did everything themselves, other than, they rented a hall. But, their mothers did the catering, their brother was the bartender, everything was do it yourself. The only wedding professional that they hired was me. And they were so grateful that I was able to see problems before they came up, to have a plan B for anything that went wrong, to drive the ceremony, if you will, to suggest where people should come in and what all of that stuff that we know as experts in our field. Mm-hmm. After the ceremony, they told me that it was worth every penny, if not more, that they were thrilled that they had hired me, but a professional.
Right. No, absolutely. Oh, you brought in a perfect point. I'm also, just as much as I'm against the city clerk wedding, I'm also against hiring a friend or a family member to officiate your wedding. And my reason being is, number one reason, number one reason, even if they're public speakers, even if they're used to doing, they're very articulate, they're very good at many things, whatever. The fact that they are close to you, that they're a family member or a close friend, already changes everything. Because like I said, emotions run high and things happen, like people do get nervous, they get anxious, and there's this subconscious need to do well, to perform, to deliver for your friend or your loved one that can get
in the way. And many times, whether they intend to or not, it suddenly becomes about them,
Oh, yes.
As opposed to the couple. And not that it's an intentional thing, oh, I want to steal this wedding, but because of nerves or whatever. And then it becomes a completely different thing. The thing that about my service that I really am very proud of is that it's all about the couple. And that once a couple hires me, I tell them, I can't help you with the catering, I can't control the flowers, but when it comes to your ceremony, when you hire me, you can relax, because it then becomes my stress. It then becomes my job to make sure everything goes well for you, that you can just sit back, relax as well as you can, and enjoy the ceremony as it unfolds at you, rather than worrying about, oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? And most importantly, if you're hiring a friend or getting a friend or family to do it, as we have discussed, It's the legal signing of that document that makes it a legal wedding. I have had couples that come to me after having a friend or a family member do it, and then they find out they're not legally married because the
You
officiant
didn't know they need an extra step for the
registered
city
here
of
in New
New
York
York.
City. So, just, it's not something it's not the place to cut corners.
It's not the place to cut corners. Exactly. And like you said, we've done this so many times, so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, that it's second nature, and you already know. This is why I don't like it when people call me a wedding planner. I know this is bad, but I don't like the wedding planner title. I said, I'm not a wedding planner. I'm a wedding officiant. I've never been a wedding planner, only because I've met so many wedding planners that I thought were so bad. And the couple likes them very much. They're very nice. They're very congenial. They're very soothing and lovely. But then when it comes to the little things, like, how could you not know? This is your job. I shouldn't have to be directing people. My job is just to do the ceremony. Yeah. And I have to tell, where to sit or where to stand. And like, why? Why is it me? But it is. Many times it is the officiant, and you need those years of experience. You need that to be so comfortable that you can command the room, put them at ease. And one very important thing, take away from what you said, that is really, really important, people miss it and don't realize, is that it's about them. And and this is one of the biggest challenges that I have had, hiring officiants to work with me. Especially, I have a friend that she said she was always a dear friend, but unfortunately just can't work with her, can't call her, because like you said, she makes it all about her. It's she's, drama. And being humble and being of service to the couple is key for a beautiful ceremony, and for them to really feel, all the emotions that they need to feel that day, instead of like, okay, here, she's, yeah. So that is really, really important. I'm glad that you brought it up. Do you have any advice because I start talking and never shut up.
That's why I love you, Veronica. Yeah. Advice for couples: certainly hire a professional. That's number one. And number two, be sure you ask any questions that are burning. No, your officiant should be able to answer any questions that you have, whether it's how long have you been doing this, to what is your process. Many times couples think, oh, do I have to invite the officiant to the reception? I myself, I'm happy to stay for a drink or cocktail hours if invited, but I would never expect to sit, at a sit-down dinner. But sometimes couples have said, I've been surprised. The officiant thought he was going to, come to dinner. And so any of these questions that a couple has, do not be afraid to ask your officiant up front at the first meeting. Any concerns that you might have. And if the officiant is worth their salt, they'll be able to put you at ease, answer those questions, and it'll be a smooth sailing after that. And certainly make sure that whoever you hire is registered wherever you happen to be getting married, whether it's here in New York or anywhere else, that your officiant is legally able to do so. So there are not unhappy surprises down the road when you find out, oops, so, common sense, but don't be afraid to talk to your officiant and shop around. Sometimes people click with me right away and it's like, great. And other times, I always say, I'd like to be your officiant, but I want you to have the officiant that you want. I mean, you don't want people regretting their decision to go with you. So, sometimes it's as simple as, do they want a man or do they want a woman? That's easy. But other times there's many other factors that affect how you deal with people and how you relate to people. And that's why, I'm happy that you say you watch my videos on YouTube, the Central Park Wedding Tour. Be sure to
Yes.
like them.
Certain pathway tours. Yes. Yes.
Because people have often told me that they've hired me from looking at those videos, not because they're doing a Central Park wedding, but because they got to know me as a person and how
Exactly. Exactly.
And I know you have videos that do the same thing.
No, I know. This is why I was laughing at the $1,000 guy that doesn't even have a video to show me. I'm like, where do you get the nerve? I'm like, look who you're competing with. Like, why? Like, and he wasn't. I'm just saying this because he wasn't the only one. The same day, another lady from the same guy sent them both. Another lady came to see me at my house, and she said the same thing. She said, with her, I think it started at 400, so at least started a little lower, but to 1,000. And I'm looking at it, and she was a comedian, and it's same case. She doesn't have a website. She's not. She just does it on the side when she does it for friends and family. Like she's done, she got licensed. But I'm like, wow. Yeah, so shop around, ask all the right questions.
And also, as you just brought up, a lot of people do this as a hobby or something on the side. Mm-hmm. And my advice, if I were to give advice to a couple, is hire someone who does this full time.
Yes, thank you. That's what I say. Do not go with the part-time people. Don't do that. And now, and with the Instagram and all that, it's fascinating to me. It's just fascinating, especially with that doesn't pertain to us, but I see it a lot with makeup artists and with photographers. It's so deceiving. They post beautiful pictures on social media, and then that doesn't necessarily represent what's going to happen.
Their work. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Because I've seen it. Anyway. Yes, I think it's always a good thing to go like on one of those, the Yacht or Weddingwire. I'm not there anymore. I'm not paying Weddingwire anymore. But if you go there, it'll give you an idea of the average price for whatever service that you want. And then from there, you can get, because everybody's listed there, you can see most officiants, what are they charging, where it starts. And you will see it starts at 300, 350, like at least for like a simple Central Park wedding.
For a simple ceremony.
Yes.
But, and then also in defense of higher priced officiants, because I'm not the most expensive officiant in New York, but I'm also not the cheapest officiant in New York, or as I like to say.
But you shouldn't be. No, but your prices are.
It's experience that the more experience you have, the more you can get away. So I understand you completely saying, how can you charge X amount of dollars when you don't even have a video to show me or you don't have a website? But those of us who have been in the business for a decade or more, you get what you pay for.
Yes.
So, you get experience.
But that's what I'm saying. You should go and see what the average is, where it starts for a professional, and then you can make your decisions. Because like we said before, if you go through Thumbtack?
Thumbtack, yeah.
I was just there the other day when these guys, I showed them because they got so annoyed. So I said, this is what you're competing with. And the officials there were like $150 average in that website, that platform. So I don't know who they are, how they work, what they do. I don't know, but I can promise you it's not going to be the same service. 150 official to someone who's around 500 or 600 for their service and their ceremony, which is what it will be average. And me too. I charge more now, mostly because I don't have time. I don't, I just can't be everywhere. And so if I go, I just did a wedding the other day. It was a horrible day, horrible snow day, and it doesn't matter. It was funny when I arrived, they see me, I looked like, I had all my gear and the boots and then, I undressed and when I got them, put my heels, put my dress, and I look great. It was one of those days that even if I took a car, it would have been, an hour and a half to get there by car. So I took
Right.
the subway.
Well,
And
and the flip side of that is also like in the summertime, especially if I'm doing something out on Long Island, I have to take the train or whatever. I don't want to wear my suit. I don't want to get it all sweaty. I don't, So I bring it in a suit bag, of course, and I wear like a t-shirt and shorts. And one time I showed up, before I had a chance to get to the men's room to change, and the groom was like, "Is that how you do?"
Yes,
No,
yes,
no.
yes, yes.
This is how I take the train. Give me 10 minutes. I'll be fine.
Yes. No, I wasn't putting down anybody who charges, because I know Annie Lawrence also, she charges around 1,000.
And Annie is also extremely experienced and
she's amazing.
More than confident.
She can also wing it. I've had her, the first wedding she did for me, she just showed up. It was a day I'll never forget. I was depressed. I had a fight with my husband or something. I didn't feel like officiating. That's the honest to God truth. I called her, I said, look, I have a wedding tomorrow in the park. I will be there, but if you don't mind, like, I'd rather have a different, another officiant do it, because I'm just not, I don't know. I was going through something. I was low down. I didn't feel like it. And it was a winter day. I remember it was kind of not very nice.
And Annie loves winter weddings.
She does?
Yes.
Oh, she was fantastic. I have her on YouTube because I made a video with my phone, and I have her. She was amazing. And the couple, I wasn't wrong. It was a terrible couple. It was right not to do it.
Give him to Annie. She'll take care of him. Right.
She was fantastic. And that's where you see, it's just, I've met so many officiants, and this is why I can vouch for you. I can really tell who's the real deal and who's not. And so if they really want you, they have to pay for it.
That's right.
So no problem.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Peter. This was amazing to have you here. Thank you for sharing with me and for helping me bring the message across.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun speaking with you, and I'm always happy to spread the word about professional officiants and what an important part of the wedding it is. Maybe just as we close, I will bring up that many times people don't include officiants when they think about the wedding team. And I know you and I have talked about it in the past, where people have posted beautiful photos of the wedding on Instagram or whatever, and they list every vendor, the photos, the flowers, and they leave out the officiant. It's like, without your officiant, there's no wedding. So, please,
good, yes, because it's a business.
Please remember that the officiant is the most important professional in your wedding. Without the officiant, it's just a party. So,
thank you. That's true. Yeah, without the officiant, it's just a party, and you're not married. It's not legal. Thank you so much. So looking forward to this wedding season. Never stop working.
Good wedding season
to you
in the park.
I'll see you very soon.
All right.
Much success, all my love, and thank you all for watching. Don't forget to comment and send me your questions so I can answer them for you right here every week.